Okay, welcome to another Chef Explorer video for YouTube. This time I'm going to go into a taste of Spain for a couple of weeks. Spent a fair bit of time there over in Spain, especially Barcelona and Catalonia. So a couple of dishes, we're going to do one for this week and then got a few more planned for next week as well. So today I'm going to do a tapas, a croquettes. It's called Iberian croquettes, and the ingredients are assembled here. We need particular, very Spanish Serrano ham, which is, from the Iberian Peninsula, which is basically that black pig from Spain and Portugal. We've got Serrano ham here. We need red onion. I've actually managed to acquire the Spanish Manchego cheese, but if you can't get this, just use Parmesan, which is in my recipe anyway. We've got milk, flour, butter in the recipe, salt and pepper. Then we've got some breadcrumbs, flour and eggs, because we're going to breadcrumb them when we make the croquettes and deep fry them later. And then finally serve with a mayonnaise dip, which I'll show you a little bit later, which is a paprika or smoked paprika mayonnaise. This is very Spanish, called pimenton. All these things you can get in Australia as well. So that's all the ingredients assembled. I'll show you how to do the first thing. Oh, one more ingredient. I always like to show you stuff that's in the garden, because the fresher you can get from the garden straight into your dinner, the better. Just over here, a bit of a herb garden. It's a bit strange in my garden, so I'm making it up as I go along. All I need for today is some parsley. Still growing well in autumn here. I've got some oregano there as well, and I've just planted some thyme. So I just need a couple of sprigs of parsley for the croquettes. Okay, so start doing some prep. Obviously you'll need to grate the Manchego cheese. I think I'm pronouncing it correctly. Manchego, maybe. So that needs to be grated. Also with my onions, which I have shown you before if you watched one of the original videos, is dicing the red onion. So basically I'm going to do the same thing, leaving that root end on, and then just slice down in little slices all the way to the end. Just leaving that little bit on there so it stays together, just so I can then go this way. And then I'll slice this all into your nice diced onion. Beautiful there. I'll finish that off in a moment. The other thing you'll be doing as part of your mise en place or prep is dicing the Serrano ham. Now this Serrano ham is so delicious, I could eat it just like this. And if we serve a few guests this evening, we could probably just put bits of this on a plate, a little bit like, you'd have salami, just a little taste by itself. I think it's better than prosciutto, but I'm sure the Italians would not agree. So just make sure you get because it's sliced so fine. And when we were in Barcelona, by the way, I got this dish from Barcelona. We tried croquettes a few times, and I sort of worked out the ingredients and then created my own recipe. And then what was fantastic is I came back to Perth and I was doing a taste of Spain, or in this particular class I did a taste of Spain, and then it was 2016, 2017, and then I did a taste of Spain Catalonia. So I did 2 taste of Spain classes just for adults in Taste Buds in Perth. It was brilliant. It was sold out every year, and this time I just stuck with a Catalonian food, and this was one of them, which is the croquette. So in this case, what you would get with the Serrano ham, again, just make sure you've got those pieces of plastic, and you can't really avoid them, take them out. That keeps it nice and fresh. But we saw this even in Barcelona, where we'd order it at lunchtime and they would slice it for us in the charcuterie shops there. It was just so delicious. It wasn't cheap, even in Spain. So what we're going to do is dice that up a little bit. So 150 grams of Serrano ham diced, your diced onion, your grated cheese, your chopped parsley, and then I'm going to show you then how to turn it into a sauce, a thick sauce, which actually becomes the middle part of the croquette. Right, okay, you're ready. So this is the sauce or the filling. So I've just melted the butter in there with equal amounts of butter and flour. 500 mils of the milk just in another saucepan with a ladle. Just start to bring that to the boil. So I've measured 500 mils there. Same amount, flour and butter is equal, making a roux again. So it's both 80 grams of each. Now this is the same as making a white sauce. So plain flour and butter in there, both 80 grams each, and this is called a white roux. And then the 500 mils of milk combined will make us a sauce. But in this particular case, we're making it like double the normal thickness. It might be a good idea if the gas goes back on again. Okay. So, bit of a roux there. See, you've got all your flour, butter mixing together, and it's called a roux, as in R-O-U-X. I know it's a funny spelling, and don't ask me why it's called that. The students ask me all the time. I don't know, it's French. So we'll just cook that just a little bit. Bring the milk to the boil, but always keep an eye on it. We chefs are doing it all the time, or cooks doing the same thing. You go, oh no, you're not boiled the milk again, have you? And it's spilled all over the place. Just turn it down there. In fact, that's probably hot enough, so I'll just turn the milk off. Bit of a roux going on there. So now in this case, we don't want any colour. We just want to actually get that cooking. And what actually happens is the flour bursts, which actually starts to thicken the sauce. So once that's there, if I wanted to go further, make a brown sauce like I did, I think when I made the stroganoff video, then obviously I'll brown that more. So just take it off, just cool it a little bit. Milk has boiled, and then in the meantime I've got another little frying pan on here, so you need to be doing the two things at once. So you've got this happening here with the sauce, and then a little bit of olive oil, and we're just going to pan fry the onion and the serrano ham. Beautiful serrano ham, which I've diced. I've told you, it doesn't matter, the cheese will be going in the sauce as well, but not yet. Just get these two fried down. I've got salt and pepper, but I've actually taken off the salt from the recipe. So just add the pepper actually, because the serrano ham, you've got to take into consideration that it is very salty, so you shouldn't need to put any salt into the recipe. A little bit of pepper, keep those two frying. Anyway, back on the heat with the sauce, and you're basically adding a ladle full at a time, and starting to mix that in. Okay, so much at a time. Or as we do, couple ladles. You can use a whisk in here as well when you're making your white sauce. Oh no, there's a fly. Welcome to the Australian flies, even in autumn. Okay. So you see what I do there, I just basically add a bit at a time and then fully cook it in before adding the next label. And then you can also whisk it in as well. So it looks like a very thick sort of porridge to begin with. And this would be a basic bechamel, or because it's so thick, we also call it a panada, which is a bit like a stuffing. And in a way, this is the filling of the croquettes. So keep cooking that one out there. You want to keep an eye on this, just keep softening this. It's on quite low. You want those onions to soften. Flavour starting to come. keep cooking this, and I'll give you a shout in a minute and get you to show the full consistency. Pause for a minute. Okay, so you can see I've added the last of the milk, kept on stirring and then finishing off with my whisk. Now, you can see how thick that is, and that's how we want it. It's like a double thickness white sauce. It's got to be thick because we're going to actually mould them when they cool a little bit better. So that's cooking away. Now you can put all your cheese in, so you're effectively making like a cheese sauce, but a very thick cheese sauce. All that goes in there. And goes pepper. And then is some of the, then that one that is now fried down all nice and soft. So that can come off. Turn that off, all nice and soft from the two of them. Whisk of milk on that cheese. You can see there's a little bit of thickness going right through the corners of the pan. So get into the corners there so you don't burn any bits. And then combine these two. Now this is important that you do these two separately because it will really work when the onions become soft and translucent. If you didn't do that, you just put them in raw, you'd have crunchy raw onions overpowering the whole croquette. Beautiful. You can see there now that is the mix. I'm going to keep that cooking for another 5 minutes, so make sure it's cooked through. And then in goes your parsley, chopped from the garden. And then we're going to just cook it out another 5 minutes now, just make sure that flour is well cooked down. You can see how thick it is. Really, really thick, and that's how we want it. And then I've got a plate here. I just greased it a little bit. Probably don't have to do this non-stick. Going to give these 5 minutes, another 5 minutes, keep on cooking, keep on stirring. Then I'm going to pour the whole thing on there. I'll show you, and then I'm going to put it in the fridge or in a cool place just to cool down a bit. And then we're going to start shaping them into what we call like quenelles, and then we'll show you how to breadcrumb them, and they're going to be deep fried a little bit later. There we go, there's the beautiful filling of the Iberian croquettes, ham and cheese croquettes. So remember, you can get, I'm doing this in the afternoon, and whatever I do for the YouTube videos, it's something I've done in classes, at events, at Taste of Spain classes for the public. I've even taught kids how to do this as a little starter for one of their school events. Done it for family, where even the little babies have gone crazy for eating these croquettes. So there's a bit of a mix. We can do this in advance if you've got people coming around. This is going to be a starter. So we'll feed a few friends tonight. Now the world is opening up a little bit more. So it's a fantastic start, and you get this done in advance because we're going to shape them into croquettes in a little bit, and then we'll deep fry them later. And just before you go, we'll let that cool, and then we'll show you the shaping of the croquettes afterwards, and then we'll do the deep frying a little bit later, serving it with the sauce. Just for what's on next week, you see around here, for example, assembling the ingredients. The other dish I'm going to do is a Catalan chicken and chorizo dish, very Spanish. All these ingredients: sherry, chickens, chorizo, of course, oranges from the orange tree in the garden. I'm also going to do a spinach dish, a Catalonian spinach, which actually goes with serrano ham, raisins and pineapples. Beautiful. And I could even show this pure recipe for vegetarians, if you've got vegetarians in the family, just missing out on the ham. So that's coming up next week and the week after. But meanwhile, I'll be back to finish off the croquettes. Okay, Spanish croquettes. So we've had it in the fridge for a while, get it it's sort of just set, but not too soft. And 2 spoons, and just try and scoop out a bit like this. And then use the other one to sort of shape it a little bit into sort of quenelle. It doesn't have to be perfect. Look, you could just do it into sort of little balls if you wish. So if you go like that, and then like this, you can shape it into a little sort of oval quenelle. This is called a panne station, or breadcrumb station. We've got flour there. Not hard to season the flour because it's quite salty with the Serrano ham. Obviously flour, eggs, of course, and breadcrumbs in here. So again, just scoop it up, sort of put a spoonful like this, sort of squash it on, and shape it like this. So you've got like a nice oval piece there. Same again. If you find as well that it's been in the fridge maybe too long, because you've got to get this just right. If it's too long, you just have to sort of heat it up a little bit again to get that peak. Now you're looking at sort of oval shapes like this, then you can put it in your flour bits. It doesn't have to be perfect. Into your eggs. Pack it together like that. And then into your breadcrumbs. Get 2 people doing this. Get the kids involved, as long as they're gentle. They don't squash them. But then again, if they did squash them, who cares? They'll still taste good. Put them onto a plate once they're done, and then later on, all we've got to do is deep fry them. And I'll show you. The dip is quite easy because it's just mayonnaise mixed in with the smoked paprika. And there you go. So we'll do all those. That recipe should get about 30 if you try and keep them all the same size. Sometimes when I've done this in kids' classes, for example, so that'll be ready to go. You can put them in the fridge till later. Get your deep fryer on. All you basically need to do is your deep fryer ready to go, and then another plate with kitchen paper on. I've done this with kids before, and it's funny, as they go more and more and more, they tend to get bigger and bigger, so you don't get 30. Doesn't matter for kids' classes, doesn't matter for home, depends how many guests you're serving. And there we go, that's Iberian croquettes.